Masuraya.
Well, that was a good way to start. So.
Oh, we are starting. Okay.
Yeah, sorry guys, we had a technical difficulty where the headphones literally tried to blow my eardrums out. We had a good intro.
I saw that. It was funny. No, I'm kidding. Just him panicking. No, but yeah. Yeah, we're in April now, which means Godzilla vs. Kong has already come out. Can you believe how great and/or sucked it did?
Yes. Yes, very, very
It was
much.
definitely one, if not both of those things.
Yeah, and definitely Mechagodzilla's appearance. Oh my god.
Yeah, it either was great or bad.
Yeah,
Can you believe how good / bad it was?
remember when Mechagodzilla did that thing and Kong was like, oh, and Godzilla was like, eh.
Yeah. Remember how happy / disappointed it made me?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And remember when the white guy did that thing?
I know. All the white guys were doing that thing. Then there was that one colored person. They were like, oh, yeah.
They have like 3 now, actually.
Yeah.
4. And one's mute.
Yeah.
The little girl, she's actually mute in real life, I think.
Yeah, and she helped Kong, and then there was that awesome scene where she was with Kong.
And then there was that cool scene with Godzilla.
Yeah, and then there was like that atomic breath and axe.
Yeah, well, we won't even talk about the end credit, because that was...
I know.
My god, the tease. We already know what's coming, definitely, and/or we don't at all.
Yeah. Well, without
this is a great bit.
without gaslighting you guys...
At the time of recording this, we have not watched it yet, if you couldn't tell.
Yes, and
my
ears, rest in peace.
Yeah, seriously.
I swear I was going to have to take another ER visit, which I would like to not do that in under a week.
Do what? Yeah, but for this month, we've said it before, but we'll just say it again for the sake of it. We're doing classic kaiju, starting with Gojira.
Yes, our second kaiju month.
54. Yeah.
Yes, not to be confused with Godzilla King of the Monsters 1956, was the American
adaptation.
No, I would just call it the American cut.
The American cut of editing an American audience member in.
By shortening it, adding a couple of scenes, and completely redubbing it.
Yeah, because what could have less shame?
Yeah.
Aside from that scene from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah from 1992, I think it is, or 1997.
I haven't made it that far.
There's some World War II soldiers and some very bad acting. You're in for a treat.
Oh, God.
There's a dinosaur. A dinosaur's attacking our boys. A dinosaur? What?
Is it still better acting than the first half of Evil Dead?
No.
2013?
Actually, it's not. It's worse acting than my favorite line in Jaws. It's a tiger shark. Oh, what?
Oh, God, I forgot that.
That guy is my favorite character in movies. Oh, what?
Should have got the fat trauma dude to do that.
Yeah, they really should have. Lord knows he could have used the money. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Yes. All right. So,
starting off with Gojira.
And I'm going to let you lead this one because this is one of your favorites. For me, it really was one of those movies I feel like I need to watch 3 times again.
It is a classic.
Because the American version I was still trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
There's a lot of visuals in there that should have been in color.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I could see that.
And that's why I think I got trying to follow different elements. What I really liked about it, though, is it was like the original Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the Godfather of Jaws, but on land and with a giant-ass lizard.
Yeah. And they, like... It reminded me, too, of the 2014 Godzilla in the sense of, like, Godzilla is shown very fleetingly and with extreme taste. You know what I mean? Like, he's not everywhere.
It's a very tension-based, so it's like, it's a slow burn.
It's very slow burn.
And I think that's
we don't even see Godzilla until 30 minutes in.
No, and I think that's what works so well. I liked the idea of it being suspense, because I think we can admit that some of that inspiration from something like Super 8 had to have come from Godzilla.
1000%.
Because that when I thought about it more and more, I was like, it's almost like the shots of like the destruction, were practically identical.
Mm-hmm. Well, because like and in Godzilla, there's like some scenes that we'll talk about where it's just like you hear a noise and then you see a building get destroyed, or you see a flash in the ocean and then a ship blows up. Like it's
and a lot of the the one that is on HBO Max
Yes, so
is the Criterion Collection version
yes,
remaster.
Thank you, Criteria, for giving us the option to watch all of these amazing movies on HBO Max.
Now, I know one day I'm going to have to because you got the Showa era and...
It's the Showa era. It's just the Showa era.
No, but for Gamera, too.
Oh, yeah. Arrow Video did
I'm
a
still
lovely...
pissed off about
They did an original collection that had all the movies and a graphic novel. But that was years ago, so that collection goes for like upwards of $1,000 now. Whereas this, Arrow Video, very recently to this, if you guys don't know who Gamera is, think Godzilla but a turtle.
Yeah, it was the hop on the bandwagon, but in a good way.
Yeah,
in a much cheaper way.
It didn't suck, you know?
No, it's definitely cheesy, but I think it had enough heart to be what it is.
It was a lot more kid-friendly as
Yes.
well. But the Arrow Video released two great collections, the Showa era and the Heisei era collections, and I got both of them. And the cool thing is, with the box sets, you push them together and it makes one cohesive picture, but he's like different halfway through. Like, half of him is his Showa era look and the other half is his Heisei era look.
It's kind of like that Vader Anakin look.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got like all of his foes from each one in the background. And the thing I didn't send you a picture of, which I still think is really cool, because all of his movies are available individually through Arrow Video, and they have hand like beautifully drawn cover art, like Arrow Video always does. Shout out to Arrow Video if we've never talked about them. They're not paying us, but really cool company.
No, they are like Criterion. They release a lot of the 80s stuff too.
Yeah. They don't release things that are like usually they don't usually re-release things that are like, you know, thought-provoking or art-worthy, but still good pictures. But each one has like specific art that was made just for it. So like if you look up Arrow Video Gamera the Brave cover, that's a beautiful cover. Like that was it looks like a comic book.
I'm sorry, I'm looking it up now because I actually want to add it to my list.
You're welcome. Like, it was a great conversation between us because I was like, I ordered this, and you're like, oh, that's cool. I probably won't get it. I send you the photo. I'm gonna have to get them.
Well, because it's just that it's a bit pricey, so I'm trying to find a way to.
Yeah, Amazon marked it down considerably, even though it just came out. Like, it's usually $100 a piece, but I got it for like $72.
Well, it's been like that for a little bit. It's just trying to find the money to get to, because I really want to add.
Yeah, just get them one at a time. So, or don't they have like, I know a lot of websites have a thing now where you can do them in payments.
Yeah, well, also says get 3 for the price of 2 on both of them, so I'm kind of curious about that. I regret selling the Gamera Blu-ray trilogy to a pawn shop when I was on Young and Wise. Yeah, I should have.
Really, man, that sucks.
Because now it's worth like $50 alone.
Yep.
And I actually got that as a gift from my dad.
Oh, jeez.
During the time Godzilla started to become with Legendary.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, you know, I got a lot of my classic ones that Sony was releasing with the Toho Godzilla collection packs.
That's when I got back into them too, man. Like, the 2014 Godzilla movie came out, and I was like, oh yeah, like Zoom flashback of my childhood of like watching Terror of Mechagodzilla in its crappy dub glory on cable TV on Saturday mornings, and just being like, wow, it's like Power Rangers, you know? Like, because I feel like that was a lot of people's first inkling of like that kind of, you know what I mean? Like, it's a giant robot fighting a giant monster in a city that gets destroyed every episode.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I want to rebuild my collection so badly, because I just want to have a binge. They're fun marathons to have.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, like, I don't think people realize, like, just how easy it is to binge all the Godzillas. Because of the fact that they're pretty mindless in a positive way.
Yeah, the first one is not. The first one, you said it yourself. You need to watch 3 times before you really get it.
Yes, it's very, very complex.
Yeah, because it's like, on the one hand, this is a monster that's destroying and killing people, but on the other hand, it's worth studying 100%. And it's like, where do you draw that line of, like, discovery and, like, humanity, you know? Because for a portion, it seems like if you generally just leave the frickin' thing alone, it'll be fine.
Yeah, to an extent. But then people just
So like, it's going to be a threat. We have to kill it. Like, no.
And I think that's what made this different, because you had the 30s that still depicted monsters very well. Obviously not kaiju and giant monsters.
No, we're talking more.
We would talk about Frankenstein.
And Dracula.
Yeah. And that kind of set the bar for the idea of having to, how do you say, set the bar for seeing something that's different and feeling the need to kill it and destroy it right away.
Right, exactly. It is 100% like a stereotype of that. For sure.
So I feel like that applied very well here. Mm-hmm. Because it's almost like if he would have just left Godzilla alone, mm-hmm. he would have just been like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the thing I like that they kind of kept in the 2014 version. They didn't just start him off as a destructive killer. He was there for balance. He was straight away a good guy. Yeah, and even if you don't consider him a good guy, you consider him an anti-hero. He was very...
Yeah. He was like, these things are going to mess up the world. I need to stop them. It's my job.
Yeah, and anybody who gets in my way, well, that's your own problem. Because
exactly.
I'm not stopping just for you.
It's like in Kong Skull Island. Like, he keeps to himself, but Samuel L. Jackson wants to hurt him, so he fights back. Or military's dropping bombs on his island, waking up monsters that killed his parents. Of course he's going to be pissed.
Right.
Like, it's expected.
So, kind of going into the beginning, because one other thing, too, that I want to point out before we get started, too, is that the soundtrack for this movie is
fantastic.
Ungodly amazing. Mm-hmm. I would say this and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the very first one, are the two best so far music scores in the Godzilla series.
Yes, the original Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Yes.
Because like I've said, any movie that involves Mechagodzilla, the title is very confusing.
There's Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2.
Terror of Mechagodzilla, which came out after Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Yes, and
Godzilla against Mechagodzilla
is the third one.
Yeah, and then
Godzilla against Mechagodzilla is the last one. That was the third one.
It would be fourth then, wouldn't it?
Well, if you consider it in the Mechagodzilla series, if you're considering it in the Versus series, it would be third.
Oh, yeah. And then Tokyo SOS, which is essentially Godzilla and Mothra versus Mechagodzilla. But
I haven't seen it, so I can't vouch for it, because I haven't seen it yet.
It's a later 2000 movie. You take it or leave it. I mean, I enjoy it, but it's just like I'm very biased. I enjoy all of them.
2000 wasn't quite the same.
Well, Godzilla 2000 is also its own thing. Like, he fights a monster that tries to swallow him whole.
Yeah, which bring out the Vor wagon, in my opinion, for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, there's some cool sequences. Like, we've definitely never seen Godzilla like that before. I mean, it was only 6 years between the last movie, but it was still, like, they made advancements in special effects for sure.
Oh, definitely. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
If you guys want to go out right now, you can get at the time that we are doing this, you can get the Gamera, Heisei era, Heisei era, and the Showa era. You can get those for $72.48 a piece, so not too bad. Mm-hmm. It's pretty decent. And then you can get the Heisei trilogy. Heisei. Keep messing it up.
It's a difficult word to say. It doesn't sound how you read it.
You can get that trilogy on Steelbook for $50.
Yeah, I honestly prefer the Arrow collection, but then again, I'm a person who owns it, so of course I prefer it.
One of these days, if I can ever get my hands on it, I will. Mm-hmm. I knew a friend who also had an extra copy of that Godzilla, that first Volume 1 collection, so on Blu-ray, so I might ask him if I can...
The Criterion?
Yeah, to buy it.
The book. Yeah, because it's literally, it's 8 Blu-rays with 15 movies and a buttload of special features, and it's a book, and each like page of it is a history on each movie, like how it got developed. You will read that. You will read that so fast.
Yeah, I'll have to see if he still has it, because I definitely want to get it.
Yeah. I recently I completed the last of the Blu-rays almost. I just need a copy of Godzilla vs. Biolanta, which has to be a Japan import, because otherwise I'm paying for a crappy American English dub, and I just want the sub, preferably, to the dub. And that'll be $50 at least, because the rights to it are freaking nowhere right now, and no one's bothered to buy the rights and re-release it, which is a shame to me. And then the one that I was talking to you about, that, like, weirdly, that Toho re-release collection is unfindable right now for under $300.
Yeah, which... Do I have... No.
You own it. You showed it to me. You own it.
Oh, the Mothra one. I thought you were
the
talking
Mothra
about...
the Ghidorah one, yeah.
Biolante.
You own Biolanta, but it's American dub on DVD.
It's got the original... original... It should have it on there.
It is?
I remember it being...
Well, I also just want a Blu-ray because I'm pretentious like that. You know.
I mean, I got that for literally $8, and it was the last copy, because the ones I'd seen at my Dollar General...
You also got a DVD copy of Rodan for...
$1.
Yeah.
Which actually I think I actually got for like 50 cents.
You can only find it for $100 now.
And it's that's the dubbed version.
Yeah, exactly. The sub version is also on HBO Max. Great. Yes. By the way.
One day, I want to push Hollywood and go, hey guys.
Don't push anyone. That's rude.
Hey guys.
Very enthused about it.
Please re-release these movies in, I don't know.
At least in a collection.
Blu-ray, or, maybe if I pitch $1,000, maybe make a custom print for me.
The reason Biolanta is one of my absolute favorites is like the history behind that movie. Did you know that the monster in it was a contest winner and literally an 11-year-old drew that, and it's in a freaking movie?
You were telling me about that.
Yeah, like that's amazing to me. Like how much fan involvement went into that movie of like, here, this is what it should look like, and then they wrote a movie around that concept, and it actually is really good, at least to me anyway. Like,
no, that is actually one of the ones I enjoyed. It was the most creative, and it had the best practical effects.
Her Biolanta's freaking face, that design, like.
Well, I think it also gives you that sense of, what is it? Little Shop of Horrors.
It does.
The 1980s version.
Feed me, Shimo. Feed me. Yeah.
What was the name of it? I'm trying to remember the name of the plant.
Oh, it's something too, because it's his ex-girlfriend, but he named it. I'll find it.
And it's the simplest name, and I can't seem to remember. And Audrey 2.
Is it Audrey 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, Audrey 2. Yep.
So yeah, it gives you like an Audrey 2 vibe.
In the movie, it was voiced by a man named Levi Stubbs.
There's so many jokes to be made, but obviously ones we're not going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not. Rick Moranis, man. I'm glad he's coming back.
Yeah, I heard he had a bit of a dark time, so...
Well, his wife died, and he decided to be a father. He was raising 2 kids. So he was like, you know what, I'm giving up Hollywood, I'm just going to be a dad now.
Fair.
Because he's like, I'm making enough money off of residuals. Might as well.
Last time you could never get back.
The hell? I didn't even know that happened. We can't get into this, but suspect in custody for Rick Moranis assault. What? He's been back on the scene for 2 days.
Good God.
Hope you're well, Rick. You're a hero of mine, man.
But continuing on
Yes. So if you guys would like to watch Gojira, where can they find them, Noah?
I would say that your best bet is just go to HBO Max, truthfully. I mean, you can probably rent it pretty much everywhere else. I can double check. Yeah, the only other place is from $2.99 to rent from Amazon. So you are best to just watch it on HBO Max.
For sure. I mean, and like, the aspect ratio is smaller, isn't it? But that's like nothing to be pissed about.
No, and I think people need to get over the aspect ratio because it's the same thing with the Snyder Cut. It doesn't define what a movie is.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
And that's why I got into Star Trek, because eventually it's like once you get over your things, because that's just what you're used to, you have a good time with it.
Exactly. But yeah, it's going to be full spoilers ahead. Choo-choo, I guess. So watch it, come back. If not, you're going to hear us spoil one of the greatest films of all time. It is subtitled, but that's just like we love foreign movies.
I talked to a couple of people, and I told them the same thing. It's like one of those things you just need to suck up and get over.
Yeah, and it was like if you need to watch it to read it once and then watch it again to do the visuals, do it. It's worth it. But like to start off, it's just like a simple fishing boat that works for this company. Or are they a fishing boat, or I think they're like a charter, like they're bringing...
I think they're a charter.
Yeah. I see... Oh no, a fishing boat's later. You're right. But then like you see this kind of light just come up from the sea and it's like bubbling, and then the ship explodes. And just starts taking on water, and it's like, what the heck? And like the crewmates, they see it and they cover their eyes like it's a freaking nuclear explosion.
Oh my god, but the music that they play
perfect.
Between the theme and...
They played the opening theme during the opening credits, and I'm like, this is awesome. What?
Same thing with Shin Godzilla. Oh, I can't wait to do that. Godzilla is such a homage to the original.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm still excited for when it finally will arrive, because I ordered it, and it'll arrive in April. But when I get my copy of Godzilla in 1984... because it's essentially the same movie, just in 1984.
Of what?
Godzilla.
Is that its own movie? I thought that was specifically dubbed as something.
No. It's actually... they harken back to the 54 Godzilla, where it's just him destroying and, like, the government trying to figure out what the heck to do.
Oh, the Return of Godzilla. See, I couldn't remember if that was actually something, or if that was...
No, it's real. It's real thing.
Interesting.
That was his comeback after Terror of Mechagodzilla.
First time in North America, the uncut and uncensored original epic.
Yep.
I'll have to add that to my cart.
Do you not already own it?
No.
Because it was part of that Toho thing, that re-release collection. So I figured your dad would have already bought it for you.
Maybe I have to double check.
Double check for sure.
Because I don't think I do.
Okay. But, anyway. Yeah, I think it's like 3 ships end up blowing up. Something like that. And then a fishing boat, like, goes near, sees some people, and then it explodes too. And they, like, radioed first, so it's like... The company knows that, like, something's going on. Like, any ship that goes into this area frickin' explodes. So they know that there's... something's happening, whether it's natural or whether it's a foreign government. Something's going on. And then the main character, I want to look up his name because I want to get this right here. He's more the main character because he kind of fills in as like an audience surrogate of just kind of witnessing this, but he's the main character in my eyes nonetheless. And I'm going to try and pronounce his name, guys, the best I can. I'm not going to get it right. I already know it. I already know it.
Hey, trying is what counts.
Hopefully.
I don't think people are going to be that mad. And if they are, well, I'm sorry.
Hideto, I believe his name is. He works for the shipping, the ships, and he is air quote dating Emiko. They haven't told her dad, Professor Kyoe, yet because she is engaged to Dr. Serizawa, who we meet later on. I again hope I pronounced all those right. But he works for the company, so he has to go and help figure out. So that's how he figures into our story. And meanwhile, it's a crazy scene to see because like all the women who their husbands obviously work on the boat, they're trying to like figure out if their husbands are dead, which they would, and like they're not taking no for an answer as to like what's going on because they don't know. Like they just the people don't know anything, you know. So they're not like saying anything because they don't know anything, and they're not taking that as a good answer. So they kind of like freak out, which again, understandably they would. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's their husbands, and all they've heard is that their ships blew up.
Well, I mean, I think that's anybody, and especially when they're like, "Oh, well, your ship randomly blew up, and we have
no information to release." Yeah.
Well, also, it's like, well, what can you really? Well, we kind of don't know. So
yeah, we don't know anything.
Fun.
We know nothing. We know nothing about what's going on, and they try to storm the office headquarters, and they have to like push them back. It almost looks like right before they open the doors at a Black Friday sale.
Yeah.
It made me have flashbacks.
See, thank God I never had to deal with that.
Oh, you are so lucky, my friend, and I hope I never have to deal with it again. And to anyone who does have to deal with it, and their only bonus is a 20% discount off coupon, screw you.
You people need to watch Markiplier do a Let's Play of what is it?
Consumer something?
Consumer Nightmare?
Something like that, yeah, where he just plays a worker at a store trying to please everyone.
Markiplier Nightmare. Night of the Consumer.
Night of the Consumer. Yes.
Night of the Consumers, yes.
Yes. But we all this stuff is going on, and then like someone sees a raft and it's just one person who comes in who's alive, and they haven't released the name of who it is yet, but the fishing village that he landed at is very important because they're not catching any fish as of recent. And the old man says, "Oh, it's Gojira," which is like an ancient demon folklore thing that their village had, where like if they had a bad drought season, they would apparently in the old days sacrifice a girl and send her out on a raft, and he would eat the girl or whatever, and then they'd start being able to catch fish again.
So that's totally not sexist at all.
Well, it's not insane at all. Like every culture has that where it's like sacrifice a virgin, she is pure. So
yeah, but why does it always have to be the girl? It's like sacrifice the virgin girl. Like
yeah, why can't it be sacrifice the virgin and you point to a guy?
What about this? What about Stevie over here? He hasn't done anything in months. He's just been sitting in that freaking corner.
Well, because I think it also has to do with the stereotype of like men go to war, you know, and men kill. Like it's the idea of women being completely pure and like never murdering. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say it's a purity thing, but then again, if Stevie's sitting in the corner and still a virgin, hasn't done anything,
sacrifice the virgin, and he's just sitting there with a Game Boy. What?
Exactly. Huh? Like, Stevie hasn't done anything in months. Get him out.
That's how it was in Dragon Slayer. They did a lot of any virgin woman, to which we both had the solution: get laid.
Go get laid. Like I'm sorry. I get it. Oh, it's my first time. Screw your first time. You're going to die.
Yeah, exactly. It's either that or get eaten by a freaking monster. No. But so then they end up doing a ritual dance to try and ward off Gojira, because that's the other thing that they have. And then like that night, forgive me if I'm jumping ahead, but I don't think I am. But that night they get like, you think it's a storm, but then like the house caves in and like it's just rain everywhere and you can barely see anything.
It gives you like a Karate Kid 2 vibe, if you've seen that.
Yeah, Karate Kid 2. Or if you've watched Cobra Kai and seen the scene with the typhoon.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, something I totally would do. I don't think it would work out as well as it did for Daniel LaRusso, but I would totally be the guy who's like, begrudgingly, like, you go, I'll save the girl who's on the freaking electrical tower. And
you know, because if the thing snaps, not only do...
it does! And he's like, oh no.
Well, I'm sitting there too, like, it's like, not even that. It's like, if it would have fell and touched you, and then to add injury to insult, you fall into the water.
Props to Ralph Macchio for, like... or his character, Daniel LaRusso, I guess, for like the bell is hitting wires, sparking. He pulls off his belt while still hanging on with one hand during a typhoon, by the way, and uses it to knock down the wires.
Dude, it's been... I gotta watch those last two movies.
And then he's gotta climb down while holding a screaming child screaming in his ear the whole time.
Yeah,
I would just be like, can you shut up?
Still better than what my headphones did to my ear.
Yeah, seriously. Are you alright? You
yeah.
all good? Okay.
No, I can hear... I was like, shit, is this gonna be like a... What is it? A broadcast from a lonely TV station or a lonely radio station?
Is this gonna be what some people did in A Quiet Place?
Well, because in that creepypasta story... They get one of their haunted callers, and it blasts the dude's ear out, and his eardrums just pour blood.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, that's how he must have felt.
Seriously. Did it hurt that bad?
It hurt, not that bad. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah, I think you'll be okay, man. I hope
Luckily, my volume was only at 32, not 100.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I probably would be deaf right now.
100%. 100%. No, yeah, so they end up, like... They have a council meeting, whatever, with, like, not a council, like, a governmental official meeting regarding the recent events. Because there's some fatalities, obviously. So they want to, like, send a research team to see what's going on. Because they know that the two phenomena are definitely connected. So they go there up to this island, and they find a giant-ass footprint. And they scan it, completely irradiated. And in the footprint, they also find a trilobite, which, if any of you know, that's like an ancient, like, if you've ever been to a museum and seen the fossil that kind of looks like a cockroach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an ancient dinosaur creature that lived way frick long ago. And they find one, and it's like, what is this doing here? Like, it's a lot of things.
Well, I like the build up to it, because it's like you already had the idea of what it was, but you're just sitting there like... But imagine, it really brought you to the same thing that, like, what made Blair Witch work.
Yeah.
It was filmed in such a way, in such a perspective, that made you feel like you were actually discovering it there with the people.
Yeah, like, for the first time as they were.
Yeah.
People thought that was real with how they marketed it, right? That's what amazes me about that movie.
Because they literally advertised that the people actually were dead and missing.
Yeah, they got nobody actors.
and sold it. And they treated them pretty harshly, though, during that production.
Yeah, I heard that. Well, they wanted it to feel real. You know, and props to them for wanting to do that, but also, like...
You can't
maybe treat your stars nice.
Yeah, maybe not starve them and kick them out into the woods and bring them somewhere and let them get lost for a day. And then go, oh yeah, we knew where you were the whole time, but we stayed out of sight.
It's for effect, yeah.
It's like...
Well, and they also, like, made a website, like, for it all, and it's like, that's crazy.
1999.
Yeah. Crazy movies. Crazy ahead of their time movies. Wasn't that, like, one of the first found footage movies ever?
Actually, I believe that is the Godfather of found footage. It's the one that did it.
It's the one that threw it into mainstream. That's for sure.
Yep.
But, to go back to Gojira... They find the giant irradiated footprint, and then they hear, like, stomping, and somebody says, Gojira! They're like, we see it, it's, like, above the hill. So they all rush up to the hill, and then you just see its head, and I was like, there he is. There's our boy. Like, it's weird to say, like, I know for a fact in 1954 when this came out in theaters, I know when people saw it on screen, they were scared as shit, but I was just here like...
He's come back. Everybody would turn in the theater and be like, this is why we couldn't go back in time and watch it in theaters, because everybody would be like...
It's like the original Phantom of the Opera, where his face was so terrifying with the makeup that women actually did this.
And fainted.
Yeah. To which I would just be... I would want to go back in time, see it, and be like... Just so they were like...
The fuck is this prick?
Exactly. But... No, so, and like I thought about this the other day while I was watching it, when Gojira came out in theaters, that still would have been in the era where you just buy one ticket and you can sit in the theater all day. Totally would have done that. If I saw this, I'd be like, nope, canceling everything. I'm watching this.
Don't need subtitles.
Nope.
Just enjoy it.
Well, I'm saying in the context because it was released in Japan originally. So in the context of it,
I
I
know.
lived there.
I would need subtitles even if I didn't know the language. I'd just be like, fun.
Exactly.
Although there'd probably be a lot of people yelling at you about certain things that
Maybe.
you wouldn't understand.
I mean, because because they do conclude that Gojira he was irradiated via nuclear testing or hydrogen bomb testing.
Yeah, which is what they revised in the 2014 version and to some extent in the Shin Godzilla version.
Well, in the 2014 version, they were trying to kill it with that. In this one, it's just like they were doing the tests and this is what happened.
Well, I thought that he started off with the bombs. That's why they showed that little lizard on the island. And then eventually he got bigger.
That's what's implied. But he's also ancient. So they think they believe he was dormant.
Oh, okay.
You know.
That's scarier than him being active.
Well, he adapted to the radiation. So that's why he's now irradiated and he can survive radiation.
I know, but just thinking like from the 2014 Godzilla before you see his face too. Mm-hmm. It's like to just think that he was quote docile.
Yeah.
He's just been laying under that island.
Well, can you imagine like he can survive radiation and he's constantly irradiated. That also probably means he's constantly in horrible pain. Like, of course he's pissed.
Oh, I just think of it also being an island, and that's the last thing you'd want to see is to be on an island and then just see a bunch of dorsal plates swim underwater.
Yeah.
It's just the fact of something that's been laying there, sleeping, and minding its business for so many years, and then you just piss it off and woke it up.
Exactly. It's like the movie The Meg, where you just see a giant fin, and you're like, nope.
Yeah, because it's like, it's scarier than what you see it doing, because you just know that it's just woken up.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know that's probably going to be twice as aggressive as it would be being awake already and being pissed.
Right, of course.
So just like the idea of an overshot of seeing him on that island makes me like, huh.
Yeah. It reminded me, it's very indicative of the first shot of a movie we're going to be talking about later this month, the original King Kong. Like, because the first time you see King Kong, it is out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, this is a thing.
Yeah, his design looked a little like...
It's a gorilla. It's a giant gorilla.
It's like Godzilla, but like the way they did it was like...
Oh, the way they did the stop motion, and they just totally gave him crazy eyes.
Yeah, it was like...
And his face is just like...
Yeah, it's like... It just looks totally like... Psycho. Yeah, I know you're there, and I'm gonna get you.
It's very unnerving for sure. The most unnerving part for me about the original King
guy
Kong,
being put in his mouth and him just chewing him up for a little bit.
Well, that but the part when there's the dudes on the tree, and he moves the tree, and you just see them fall, but they clearly just dropped ragdolls down, so you see just like, and they perfectly time the scream to stop the second it hits ground, and it's just like lifeless, and you're like, fucking hell, can we not? Can we actually not?
In 1933, so like...
Yeah. Props to them, because it's actually like, it's brilliant for the time.
I really would have liked to see what those people would have done in modern day, because you can't tell me that they wouldn't have been able to push it to the standards that we have for movies nowadays.
For sure.
Because I'm pretty sure those people were like, this is too much. There is somewhere in the vault of Hollywood... We will never get to see the original cuts of movies that were so intense back then.
Yeah. And probably, like, they wouldn't be intense for nowadays, for sure. But back then,
no. I think they might still disturb people because of the practical effects quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. But they see him, and my favorite shot is, like, the people who see him, they zoom in on 3 guys. One guy has a gun, so I'm like, okay, 2 guys just have swords. And I'm just looking at him like, frick are you gonna do? It's a giant lizard. Like, you idiots.
I'm gonna chop him up and go attack on Titan.
It's going to take a while. But...
I'll go attack on Titan. I may, die of radiation.
He doesn't have steam grapplings.
That was my thing. It's just like, it may take a while, I may get stepped on, or die of radiation.
That's something I've always wondered about Attack on Titan. How many designs did they go through? Like, how many times did they like, all right, test 1, and then a dude just went way too fast and splatted?
And another dude probably just snapped and got chumped on, because there's that one Jaws moment where that one little fat one jumps up and just like, nah.
Yeah, and the guy's like,
And it's like, you just,
the one that like
you just lost a leg.
disturbs me a lot is the dude who's like in its mouth and he stabs it in the face and he's like gets munched down on and his last words are like, "You will die, Captain Levi will kill you all." And we as an audience are like, who the heck is that? And you just see, and the thing dies and you're like, oh, there's Captain Levi. Most badass dude in anime, I swear to God.
See,
that
I can't
guy.
wait to really get into that series.
Yeah, because it's done now, isn't it? It's like completely finished.
Yep.
So you can just
Season
watch
4.
it all. Cool, but my God, now I'm thinking about who would win, like the people from Attack on Titan or Godzilla. Like they definitely have the equipment.
He can irradiate himself into a nuclear bomb. There's no way.
I'm talking standard, like fair, like 2014 Godzilla, maybe, or like this version of Godzilla from '54.
Can still absorb radiation. That's all it would take.
Yeah. Can you imagine you go by him for like one swing and then you're just like, oh, I'm getting boils. Ow, ow, ow.
Pretty much.
I can't see.
Well, that's what I'm sitting there thinking, like most people. I'm like, would you even want to touch Gojira at that point?
No. But if you're Dr. Serizawa from King of Monsters, you're going to die anyway. So might as frickin' well.
Well, at that point, yeah.
But, I'm sorry, 2019 King of Monsters. Yeah, that's what I said, didn't I?
Yeah.
But,
Going back to the 1954.
yes, they see him and he does his classic roar. It's the first time we hear it. And I'm like, yay. Just more nostalgia moments for me. There are sections of him where it is obvious which, like, if he's stop motion or if he's a dude in a suit, which I would like to give a quick shout out to Haruo Nakajima, who was the first person to put the costume on. Bravo to you, man. You made my childhood. Thank you so much.
The first man to become the lizard.
Yeah. Dr. Kurt Connors?
There we go.
Yeah.
There's that too.
Yeah. No, the first man to put on the Godzilla suit, man. That's crazy. They even have photos of him when he was young wearing that suit. Would you look at that? He's got a baseball cap and he's holding a cigarette.
so freaking happy.
He knows. He knows that this is going to be like a hit. He knows it.
I was always
awesome.
like, I know it.
And look at him in front of his Godzilla Hollywood star.
He looks like a little Danny DeVito.
He really does. He really
Japanese
does. And look,
Danny DeVito.
he's in the wetsuit for the water scenes. Like, look up these photos of this guy, man, because yeah, we lost him in 2017, sadly, but he would play Godzilla for a lot more movies.
At a job, at a production, if I got my production company up and running, I would love to just have screensavers of that, one on one computer, some random stuff, some others like set photos that I've been on, and then ones of just random great stuff of pop culture and still images.
I don't know what I love more. This photo of him during Godzilla Raids Again, where he just looks disappointed, or the photo of him and the main girl from this movie.
Oh my god!
I love that photo. For those of you who can't visually see it, and if you haven't found it, it's on Reddit. He's walking with the main female character from this film in the Godzilla suit, and he's holding an umbrella, and he has his arm around her like they're going for a picnic.
Dear Lord.
It's friggin' like he knew what was going on. And they like did the scenes with the foot stomps. Like, I could look at these.
Looks like a giant chicken.
He really does. I could look at these photos for hours, but we got a show to do, man. But like, yeah, rest in peace, man.
BTS photos are always the best.
They really are.
Because a lot of them are left to the imagination too for stories.
Mm-hmm. Just like you could tell he was a guy who wasn't ashamed of the work he did. He was
and I wish more American actors would stop bitching and moaning so much about being pegged for one role.
Yeah, because a lot of people get bitter about like what you were saying, either being pegged for one role, or B,
I don't want to be remembered for that.
No, like, they couldn't see my face at all. They wouldn't even see my real face. So what? You're an iconic character and you don't get mobbed on the street.
And you know what's even better? You know what's better about that? When people are like, you're that guy and get excited, it means you did a great job.
Yeah, exactly. You know
didn't...
that they, like, you can visually see if they're happy.
It'd be like if Anthony Daniels didn't do a good job as C-3PO. Mm-hmm. People would have been like, oh, cool.
Like, so, like...
Or Peter Mayhew as Chewie.
Mm-hmm. Or, like, a guy who, I guess, because people recognize him now because they actually look him up now and his, like, picture's available. But frickin' Doug Jones... Like, for the longest time, he said he would just do work and just never be recognized. And now he is getting recognized, and he's like, it's a little weird, but people are nice about it.
What did he do? No, that's right. Doug Jones. I'm trying to...
Most recently in the newest...
Discovery.
Star Trek Discovery, but also he played Abraham Sapien in the Hellboy movies. Pretty much any Guillermo del Toro movie.
No, but did he do... No, he didn't do K2. He did not do K2.
K2?
From Rogue One.
No. Doug Jones, he did...
That was Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk, also a great actor. But Doug Jones, he did... He was in an episode of Buffy, which is a fan favorite episode. He was the main character in Shape of Water. He played two iconic characters in Pan's Labyrinth. He was in Guillermo del Toro's other movie, Crimson Peak, as the ghosts.
Yeah, Crimson Peak is pretty...
It's a gothic horror. It was marketed as just a horror movie, but it's a gothic horror.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I was kind of like... Because we had to do a class. That was one of the movies we had to review, so I found that pretty interesting.
What did you think of it?
It's one of those I have to watch again. I was watching it specifically from a editing and wardrobe standpoint.
Sure.
So it was a little less enjoyable, but from what I remember, it was a pretty solid movie and had a great, solid performance and chemistry between Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain.
Mm-hmm. Which was... They're siblings as well, and you believe it.
Yes, very much so.
Yes. But yeah, going back to Gojira here, they see him, he roars, and then he kind of just walks away and they don't want to keep following him because they got a picture of him, so they're gonna bring it to the court, whatever it is, because it looks like they just are in a courtroom, but it's obviously government official things.
Right.
And they're talking about how he's he's definitely from the Jurassic period because he looks very similar to a Tyrannosaurus Rex. We found a trilobite on his foot. He's extremely irradiated, which, based on the area, was probably from hydrogen bomb testing. We think we should study him with caution. And one person says we should keep this information from the public to not start a panic. Whereas that guy gets in the most hostile argument I have ever seen with the reporter. Do you remember that? The reporter lady who's like, we need to tell the people, you son of a bitch. And he's like, why are you talking to me like this?
Yeah, it's like,
it's
all
like,
right.
It's also a choice where I'm like, was that on purpose or not? Because, like, the reporters who are wanting it to go public and... Because the... Sorry. They say the public needs to know. Sorry for the stutter. And that's why they want to share the information. They're all played by women, whereas the people who are like, let's keep it secret so it doesn't cause a panic, and then there's like 12 guys, they're all men, but there's 12 guys behind him that like do a golf clap. They're like, oh yes, quite right. I wonder if that was on purpose.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that they just have in the background, we're like...
Well, I mean, because everything in this movie is freaking symbolism, so...
Exactly.
I would assume there's a purpose behind everything. But yeah, that scene is just great. But eventually they do decide to talk about it and reveal Godzilla's existence to the public.
Which, congratulations to them for actually being smart.
Exactly.
Better than our government.
100%. But then, I can't remember. So, there's a lot of drama. behind the scenes tour, like, the guy who was killed on the island, his younger brother now lives with the main character, and there's a lot of drama between, like, she's arranged to marry Dr. Serizawa, who he respects and feels bad for because he lost his eye during the war and all this stuff, and he doesn't want to go against her father's wishes, and, like, all these things. But then they decide, unprovoked, by the way, because I don't think he did any damage after this point, the government decides to kill Godzilla. Right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. If I'm missing something, let us know in the comments. Be kind about it, please. No, but
like I said, for me, it was really hard to keep track of the movie because there is a lot going on.
And I mean, they want to draw out the human story, you know.
And it's not bad. It's just really one of those that you have to rewatch in order to understand it and comprehend it.
Because there's a lot of the things that the actors say, they're very, like,
politically heavy.
It is. It's very politically heavy because he's like, this monster was created by something that's unnatural to its environment, but it survived it. We need to learn how to survive that kind of thing too if we want to keep living as humanity, because every country and their mother now has nuclear warheads. And if we want to survive it, we need to learn how to survive the effects of radiation. And the only way we're going to do that is by studying this monster. But at what point is there... Where's the line of, like, how many people need to die before they kill it, you know?
Which is exactly what the thing with having Shin Godzilla be, because that was also very, very, very politically heavy.
Mm-hmm. Extremely.
And that was supposed to capture... Because that is literally the modern day Godzilla.
And you think it pulls it off?
It pulls it off so well.
Mm-hmm.
In it pulls it off in Shining Spurs. It does so well. It is literally like, when you think of a remake, this is a remake.
Yeah.
Unlike, I would say, like the first half of Evil Dead, you know, the dialogue does not seem pointless. And it builds with the characters. Right. And it builds with the people. Like, even the people you start to feel for. Like, just random citizens that you don't even know. And you're sitting here like, geez. They're just... These poor people.
They're just stuck in this crappy situation.
And their government is like... You have the people that are understanding what's happening. And they're younger. But because they're younger, the older people are pissed at them. When they're just like, hey, this isn't about who's older, who's younger. This is about, we are about to...
Well, I definitely,
have to
make a call. Yeah.
We're going to have to make a call and decide what happens to our people.
Yeah.
And this is all of our faults.
Yeah.
So either way, we will always still be the villain. We will either reap the consequences after we save these people, or when we die and burn in hell.
Exactly.
Is essentially what they say.
And they attempt destroying, in this movie, Godzilla with some torpedo missiles from some ships.
Yeah, in the 1954 version, we're going back to that.
Yeah, we're going back to that. Sorry, it's just, you know, I'm looking at the clock. And I do agree with what you're saying, and when we review Shin Godzilla, we will definitely elaborate more, because that deserves its own episode, 100%.
Yes.
But they try killing it with torpedoes, and it doesn't work, which is evidence because there's like a couple's cruise that sees him, like just off in the distance. They're like, "It's Gojira! He's still alive! Run!" And my favorite part of that scene is you see our boy for literally a split second. You see Kenji Sahara from the Ultra Q movies. He's the star of the Rodan movie.
Right.
Or the Ultra Q show, sorry. You see him for a split... You see him for a split second. He's credited as young lover.
Oh, God.
He's literally a frame in this movie, but he's in it. So...
He might just be the Stan Lee of Kaiju films.
He really is, because he plays a different character every time, but he's in all of them, I swear.
Maybe he's secretly the Watcher of Kaiju.
Maybe.
He's working with the Ultramen.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
When are we going to get an Ultra Woman?
They have in the shows. They've had female Ultramen, but not like you're talking a female-centric show?
Yeah, I want one called Ultra Woman.
It's still at the point, I feel like, in television where they're like, oh, girls don't want to see superheroes. They want to see pretty things and Barbie show. You know?
Oh, the designs are awesome for her.
Right?
Oh,
Definitely begets its own series.
Ultra Woman Gringo needs her own series.
Let me see.
Grigo.
Yeah. She shows up in R&B.
Oh.
She's their sister.
Awesome!
Yeah,
oh
you gotta watch
looks
that show to get to her.
Okay.
For those of you at home, do look up Ultra Woman.
Just look up Ultra Woman and you will find it.
Be careful, because that's also a popular topic in Japan for, what's the word? Weird adult films. So be very aware of what you're looking at.
If you've looked up a lot of weird stuff, then that's how you're gonna find it.
But just like if you're like 13 and listening to this and stumble upon it, our bad. You know what I mean? Like we're not responsible for what you Google.
Your parents will be the ones who are mad at you.
Well, then they'll listen to this because the kid will be like, the man in the internet told me to.
That's true.
Yeah. And then we'll get letters. But on the plus side, we'll get letters.
Then we can review hate mail. Oh, mail. There's something.
There's an episode reviewing negative comments.
That is something I'll have to show you later. But
okay, so there's this reporter that hears that like definitely Gojira didn't die, and he like I think he attacks like a small town or something like that, or like the railway station, or is that later? That's later during the big destruction scene, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, because the reporter, he goes to see Dr. Serizawa because he heard that he might have a weapon that could kill it, because they obviously know nuclear warheads aren't going to be able to kill this thing. And he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But then he shows, because his fiancée is there to tell him that she loves someone else and she wants to break off their engagement because she sees him as like an older brother figure. And then he takes her down to his lab and says, I'm going to show you something that I've been working on, but you have to promise not to tell anyone. And we don't get to see it yet, but it's so terrifying that she like turns away and like in tears and in shock. And I'm just like, what the because all we see is he drops a little tiny silver ball into a fish tank, and then we just see a flash of something and she freaks out. So we'll come back to that later because she promises to keep that secret. And it is a very big tease.
Everything in this movie is a frickin' tease.
It really is. But Gojira comes and I think he attacks a port, I think is what happens. And like kills some people. Because after that, they set up like with a bunch of electricity. Their idea is they're going to fry him. Like he's going to walk into this area and just get electrocuted.
Yeah. Hence, which actually is on the Criterion cover.
Mm-hmm. Him getting electrocuted? Yeah.
Yeah, him walking and it bursting into flames.
Mm-hmm. Which great stunt by the actor. But they evacuate the city for the most part. They evacuate the area around the electrical pylons because they don't want anyone to get shocked. So he walks into that after he gets shot at by a bunch of machine guns and missiles, to which I'm like, guys, not gonna work. But he gets electrocuted and then just keeps going and proceeds to destroy everything.
Yeah, it's almost like, attacking him was a bad idea.
But he stomps on some cars, some streets. He freaking crushes a train. That shot is beautiful. And when he starts using his atomic breath for the first time, and in this effect it just looks like a mist coming out, but then like everything it touches freaking melts. And like the people it hits like are freaking screaming. And then you get like a lot of heartbreaking scenes as well. Like the scene with the mom and the kids.
Yep.
Oh my god, I couldn't handle it. She was holding her 3 definitely under the age of 10 children while this monster is walking through and trouncing, definitely getting close to where they are. And she goes, don't worry, we'll be with your father soon. We'll be with daddy soon. And then just... And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Japan is...
I could not handle that.
Japan does not pull punches.
Like, seriously, like, they saw King Kong and they were like, oh, you killed a bunch of men in this movie, We're going to kill a mother while she's holding children. Young children. And it's like, wow. That scene broke me. The scene with the reporters broke me.
Yeah.
Because they're at the tower, and he's like, Godzilla's coming towards us. It looks like it's going to be the end for us, audience. And they're like, there's a guy filming, and he's like, he's grabbed the tower. What strength? Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. And then you just see the tower get crushed, and you hear the people scream, and you see bodies, and I'm like, they were prepared to die for the sake of journalism. Wow.
Well, that is how they want to go.
But I'm just like, he destroyed the tower. So definitely no one's getting that footage. Unless they were broadcasting it out live. Which at the time, probably not likely. But it's just like, wow, you kind of died for nothing.
Well, I think they
were broadcasting the report out, for sure. But it's like...
I think they probably were doing it live.
Hopefully. I mean, back in the 50s, you don't know, you know?
I mean,
Technology-wise.
50s, they did have radio stations all the time that were still running. Cause they were
I meant the video.
Oh, video?
The footage?
Probably not.
Probably gone. Probably gone. Forever. You know that guy was excited, though. I was like, all right, we're gonna get... He's like, my job today is to film them to kill a monster with electricity. And then slowly but surely, he's like, I'm gonna die today. And all I can do is hold this damn camera.
Spoilers for Game of Thrones. Exactly what Oberyn Martell said. This is not the day I die.
And well...
Yeah.
Or another spoiler for Game of Thrones is when
If it has anything to do with season 8 or 7.
The Roos. When Bolton kills Baratheon.
Okay.
When he kills him, that was my thought, because like his little army comes and he just gets surrounded from all sides, and here's my thought. I think you're gonna die today, dude. And sure enough.
Only a little bit.
Yeah.
Only a little bit.
But so then he gets into the water. Godzilla walks and gets into the water, and our protagonist can see him from a distance, and then you see some planes come in, and he kind of walks away, because like they're shooting missiles at him. And keep in mind, none of them are hitting him. But it's just annoying to him, so he's like, I'm gonna leave. Because he physically can't hit any of them. They're too fast. And then, like, we get the aftermath of all the people who are hurt, like, in these, like, little makeshift hospital areas. We see a mom cry because they're bringing her father's body away on a gurney. And I'm like, good Christ, this sucks really bad. Like, this is a horrible feeling I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, yeah, of course that would be the aftermath.
Yeah, I like that they didn't shy away from it. Because it's like an Avengers movie.
It's important to it.
You know, nobody realizes the damage control that has to do it. That's what makes the MCU so much more powerful. Like, nobody really sees the blip until WandaVision, where it's like
when you watch it, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Okay, I haven't watched that yet, so I don't know.
They talk about some issues you didn't think about, I guarantee. But
I hope, if it's what I'm thinking, that they addressed some of the things, because what they showed in WandaVision.
Well, and like something that happened as well in like.
Yikes!
Like that's what I liked about Civil War, is it made Avengers: Age of Ultron matter, because like, yeah, you guys saved the city, but afterwards it killed my kids and my dad. So now I'm going to destroy all of you.
Well, and I think, you know, the other thing, too, is, like, a lot of the older Godzillas, the later Godzillas, they started to forget that.
Yeah, they forgot. Well, it became something else. It became marketable in a different way. So they changed the route. Like, it went from, like, this is definitely a single movie we're doing. It's about it's about dread and, like, the fear of nuclear war, and it's basically we're trying to evoke how we felt when you dropped bombs on us in World War II, and then it turned to, let's see who this guy in a suit can fight next, you know?
Right.
So it adapted and it changed its format, and it went from like minimal success to frickin' astronomical. But I still argue that the first movie is definitely one of if not the best, the original.
Oh, yes. No, I believe that the first one and Mechagodzilla are up there for me.
1,000%. I agree with you 1,000%. Because we're in this place, and like I said, very sad. people are just bandaged up and you hear people crying. And then Emiko tells the main character, she's like, I have to tell you a secret that I swore to keep. And it's about Serizawa. So we get gratification of what he showed her. And we see fish in a tank. And then bubbles come up. And then just out of nowhere, they're skeletons. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. And he explains he found a way to, with this chemical he discovered, take all of the oxygen out of that water tank. And as a result, the fish's skin turned to liquid. Frickin' terrifying. And he's like, I'm keeping it secret until I can find a positive use for it, because I know it'll be weaponized if I don't. And it's like, finding a positive use for something you literally refer to as an oxygen destroyer. Good luck with that one.
I mean, the positive came for let's use it against Gojira.
But again, as a weapon. He didn't want it to be used as a weapon. He wanted to use it to help humanity in a different, non-violent way.
Yeah.
And that probably has to do with what he had to deal with in the war. You know, he lost an eye. He's clearly been through some stuff. He's probably seen the worst that humanity can be.
I don't doubt it. I mean, just being at war, but to lose a part of yourself there is...
Exactly. And so they go and they try to get it from him. He's not budging. He doesn't want to, because he knows that the second he uses it, it's going to be used as a weapon and could be used against us by other countries or to start other wars. And he just doesn't want other people to die. He doesn't want killing this thing that is killing a bunch of people to result in the death of a lot of other people, which is understandable. And like any scientist, he just wants his discovery to be remained a positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then he sees that like they did this thing on the TV where like these girls are singing about the tragedy and all this stuff, and that makes him see what it's doing to people. So he's like, here's the deal. I'm burning my notes. And then I'm not sure if I can be swayed to do this kind of thing ever again. So neither of you can let me. And they're like, all right. Because he's like, the issue is if I just burn my notes, it's still in my head. It's all still in my head. So I'm sure someone could get it out of me if they tried hard enough. So they end up using Geiger counters to find where Godzilla is, because he's resting on the ocean floor. And
Which is a freaky-ass shot.
Yeah, it did. Well, and like the camera is also unnerving, because like if you look at the shot, like the outside lines of the camera, it's like all darkened, and I'm wondering if
that's the other thing.
Did you notice that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like a result of trying to film underwater?
You know, I'm not actually sure. I would assume so, because you had to use certain things to film underwater for those different shots.
And then possibly mess with the lens.
Yeah.
It looks great.
So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing when it came to Jaws.
And I mean, for the shots of Godzilla in his suit, they definitely just used like a water filter, like over it. But still, it looks great. And like, I feel like probably some guys actually scuba dived.
Yeah.
Which those scuba suits, I'm like, I saw those and I was like, man, we really have came far as far as technology goes, because you used to have to literally have a cord that led to the outside. That was your oxygen supply. But they're in these diver suits. He's got the bomb, and Serizawa, because the other guy insists on going with him because Serizawa's never scubaed before. It wouldn't even be scuba diving, would it be? It's just diving.
Yeah, I don't think of that.
Scuba is based on the term for that rebreather. But they find Godzilla, and Serizawa looks at the guy almost to say, like, I'm sorry, but I have to. And, like, pulls his rope so that the people on the boat get the signal to pull him up. So they start pulling up the main character, and Serizawa puts the bomb down and ignites it. And they're like, he gets to the top and he's like, we need to get Serizawa out. We need to get him out. And you see Serizawa pull out a knife and cut his rope so they can't pull him out. Because he knows that if this is truly never going to be used as a weapon again, he has to die. And it sucks. Because all this guy has ever wanted to do, despite having an eye patch, is help people.
Yeah.
Despite what movies have told you about people who wear eye patches. He just wants to help.
James Bond villains.
Exactly. He just wants to help people. and he knows that this has to be how. And it's very like, it invokes a lot of like, it's very well mirrored in the 2019 Godzilla King of the Monsters, because in this one, Dr. Serizawa sacrifices himself to kill the monster. In the 2019 one, he sacrifices himself to bring back the monster.
Yeah.
And that's some great parallels.
Yeah, which I respect, because like I said, King of the Monsters is the best out of all of them so far, out of the
you think
whole
so?
Monsterverse so far. Yeah. It had the most nostalgic feel.
Yeah.
And brought back a lot of elements.
I mean, I really like the 2014. You know, I think I like all three of these new ones equally, I feel like.
I like King of the Monsters more because it just had a lot more...
It had a lot more Kaiju fandom stuff. And a lot more fan service,
and a lot more
sure.
callbacks to its source material.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much how it ends. We see that the Oxygen Destroyer worked, killed Gojira.
Which, oh my god, is nightmare fuel.
Yeah, thinking about how he died. Yeah.
Well, just seeing his skeleton, him decomposing, was like, oh.
It was.
Oh.
It happened. If you want to see it again, it's in Godzilla vs. Destroya, just with lava. Yay.
Yeah, that was.
But yeah, there's a final monologue that I'm not going to be able to quote fully because it's a lot, but it's by Professor Kyoe, and he's very sad that Godzilla died because he still believes that there could have been a lot learned from him, and the only issue was that they provoked him. But he's like, he comes to some conclusion that like that's just what humanity is, and then we see the credits, and I'm like, way to leave me with a thought. Like, because yeah, that's something to be argued in like these movies, and that's why I love Guillermo del Toro movies and all this stuff. Like, because in his movies there are monsters, but the monsters aren't the monsters. The monsters are people, and I've noticed the longer I've lived, the more I've noticed that in life.
Right.
Like what? Oh.
So I was checking out that scene again too.
In the original Gojira.
Yeah.
Where he's melting.
Yeah, continue.
But yeah, I've noticed that a lot, and I think that the reason that's a common theme is because, you know, art imitates life, and sometimes, frighteningly enough, life imitates art. But I feel like the reason, like, a lot of times people are more often depicted as a villain than, like, a monster or something like that is because that's true about life, man.
A bit too true.
It really is. We need to be better. That's what I learned from this movie. Like, society in general, we need to be better. And I bet the people who made this movie were hoping that by this point in our history we would be, but still got a way to go.
Well, at least in this country.
As a species, I feel like we still have a way to go. But that's the thing, like, there's caveats with everything. You know, like, you do one positive thing, you have to do another negative thing. Like, there's countries that have euthanasia. You know what that means?
Yeah, I believe so.
Once you hit a certain age, they kill you.
Yeah.
Essentially. Like, once you hit around your 60s, you get put down, which various levels of fucked up.
Yeah, this is not one BR.
No. But as a result of that, like, they're able to do things like you can go to college for free, you get tax breaks for investing in art. Men can get 1.5 year long paid fraternity leaves just to be dads. And I'm like, that's awesome. What you have to do to get there is terrifying. But that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to do that. Personally, I'd love to get 1.5 years off just to raise my kid.
Yeah, I was just saying at what cost, though.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is like, it's a great thing, but that's something that, like... So yeah, I don't know. So like, anyone who's wondering, could we ever have a perfect world? Probably not. No, but that's okay. Personally.
Make do with what you have.
If you keep, in the words of, in the ending monologue words of +1, if you spend your whole life looking for perfect, you're gonna wind up with nothing.
Very true.
That's true about relationships, that's true about life in general, and that's true about expectations. Have dreams, try your best to get there, but understand if you don't, you're not gonna it'll be okay. You know?
Yeah. Overall, this
Amazing film.
It truly is great.
Still holds up. Almost. God, how old is this movie? 1954. We're 2021 right now. 70 years?
How old is Godzilla? 1984.
1954. I'll just do the math on my calculator. People at home already know. 67 years old.
Yeah, so we're getting to a 70th anniversary.
Yep. And at the end of this month, we are going to talk about the original King Kong, which does blow your mind that in 12 years, that movie's going to be 100.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, that's insane to think about. That's like the bummer, man, about watching these old movies. Like, I love them and I appreciate them, and I never want to have a moment in my life where I don't have them. And also, it's weird watching a movie knowing for sure everyone in that movie definitely dead. Even the kids in the movie definitely dead.
Probably.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's a major bummer.
Well, they might all be dead. I mean, well, it's
when you get
older
to a
than Betty
movie
White.
that's 100 years old, like once King Kong gets its 100-year anniversary, that's all I'm gonna think about. Is how like everyone who worked on that movie and was involved with it, definitely not here anymore. And I'm like, wow, like, you know, time just sucks, man.
It does, but it gives things value.
That's a thing to think about, isn't it? Like you have short films that you've made. There's going to be some point in history where literally everyone in that movie is no longer here.
It'll suck, but it'll be a work.
It's inevitability. Not like Thanos, but it's inevitable nonetheless.
I hope not like Thanos. I don't plan to destroy half the world.
No.
And
Or his second plan in Endgame, which was rewrite everything with no one remembering. Even more evil.
Yeah, that doesn't...
A grateful universe, born out of blood, and no one will remember it. So...
But without further ado...
Yeah, thanks for listening. Tune in next week where we'll be talking about...
Mothra, I believe.
Mothra. Yes.
Which is the original, which people don't really probably realize that there was the original Mothra before Rebirth of Mothra. So.
Before he even showed up with Godzilla.
Yes. Well, at that point.
She, yes. In this one, it's a bit weird when we talk about it. It's a he.
Yes, and you'll get a really funny fictional...
I loved watching that movie with you, because every time they said he, you were like, that can't be right. They got the translation wrong. It's a she. And I was like, no, buddy, it's a he in the first one. He's like, no.
It just didn't make sense. Mothra doesn't even sound like a guy's name. That's just not because I associate with the female first. It just sounds.
I want you to go up to every moth by a porch light now and just be like, you're a girl.
I'm not going to tempt fate like that.
What do you think, all ladybugs are girls?
No.
Okay.
And I also got that joke in A Bug's Life.
Yeah, that's my favorite. So, me being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that right, Flyboy? Christ, she's a guy.
Bug's Life is great.
Yeah, great movie. But we will see you next week for Mothra, 1961 film. Purchase that and watch it if you guys want. We recommend that as well.
Cheap on Amazon.
Yes. Steelbook. Lovely. I just got you that. You're welcome.
Yes, I'm very thankful.
Very. Without further ado, he's been Noah Sweeto.
He's been the Daniel Shoemaker.
This has been Film Nerds Hour.
So long, everyone.
Bye-bye. Enjoy.